Pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. Say that to yourself right now. Say it in the middle of whatever you are going through. Say it at the bottom of the hard season, in the middle of the struggle, at the point where everything in you is screaming to stop. Pain is temporary. Every physical pain, every emotional pain, every financial pain, every season of darkness, of failure, of uncertainty, of loss, it has a duration. It is not permanent. It cannot be permanent. Time moves, circumstances shift, the body heals, the business turns, the season changes. The pain, however consuming, however relentless it feels right now, has an end. But quitting has no end. The moment you stop, the moment you lay down the thing you were supposed to carry, that decision follows you. It lives in the back of every future attempt. It whispers in every new beginning. It sits in the space between who you are and who you know you could have been if you had just refused to stop. That is permanent. That is the weight that outlasts all the pain. So we do not quit, not today, not ever. The man who is down to his last set of energy, who is running on empty, who has given everything he has and the result still hasn't come. That man is standing at the most important moment of his entire journey. Not the most successful moment, the most important one, because it is exactly here, at the place where most people stop, where the rational mind says the cost outweighs the return, where the body has nothing left and the emotions have flatlined, that the real decision gets made, not the decision about the goal, the decision about identity, the decision about who you fundamentally are. Are you someone who stops when it gets this hard? Or are you someone who has decided that stopping is not available to you as an option? When you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot in it and hang on. One more knot, one more grip, one more day, one more attempt. Not because you have the energy for it, not because you can see clearly how it ends, but because the alternative, letting go, is not something the man you have decided to be is permitted to do. Hang on. Keep hanging on. The rope does not break for the man who refuses to release it. Pain that does not leave is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that the thing you are building requires more than you initially understood. Most people budget a certain amount of pain for their goals. They have an internal threshold, a limit they set, usually without realizing it, that says, if it costs more than this, I will reconsider. And when the cost exceeds that threshold, they call it wisdom. They call it knowing when to quit. They call it being realistic. It is none of those things. It is the price of the goal being higher than the budget they set before they understood what the goal was actually worth. Great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance. The pain that will not leave is the curriculum. It is the full cost of the thing being demanded of you, not by a cruel universe, but by the size of what you asked for. You asked for something significant. Significant things cost significantly, and the man who only persists when the cost is comfortable will never accumulate the kind of result that requires an uncomfortable price. Stay in the pain, not passively, actively. Move through it, train through it, build through it, work through it. Let it be present while you remain in motion, because the man in motion through pain is the man who arrives. And the man who waits for the pain to leave before he resumes is the man who never gets there. Failure is not the enemy. Quitting is. These two things are completely different, and most people treat them as the same. They are not. Failure is information. Failure is the world telling you that the approach needs adjustment. The timing needs refinement. The skill needs development. The strategy needs rethinking. Failure is a lesson delivered in a language that only experience can teach. Every failed attempt that you continue past is a deposit into the account of eventual success. Every lesson learned in the failure and applied in the next attempt closes the gap between where you are and where you are going. I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That is the mindset. Not, I failed, therefore I am a failure. But I found a way that doesn't work, which means I am closer to the way that does. The failure is not the end of the road. It is the road. It is the actual path that successful people walk through while unsuccessful people watch from the side and call it bad luck. Fail forward. Fail loudly. Fail repeatedly if necessary. Just do not quit. Because the only moment failure becomes permanent is the moment you decide not to try again. The man who keeps going when the pain is permanent, when it has been weeks, months, years of resistance without the breakthrough, that man develops something inside himself that cannot be replicated by any other experience. A bone grows strongest at the point of the fracture, not in the areas that were never tested, at the exact site of the break once it has healed. The human spirit works the same way. The area where you suffered the most, where you were most tested, where you almost stopped but didn't, that becomes your greatest source of strength, not in spite of the pain, because of it. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. Every time you choose to continue when everything says stop, you are calcifying a resolve in yourself that becomes harder to break with each passing test. The man who has been through real, extended, relentless difficulty and refused to quit is nearly impossible to defeat, because he has already been at the bottom. He has already felt the worst of it, and he knows, not theoretically, but experientially, that the worst of it did not destroy him. That knowledge is a weapon. Use it. Prayer in the pain is not weakness. It is one of the most powerful things a suffering man can do. When you are at the bottom of your reserves, when the discipline is maxed out and the willpower is spent, and you are truly running on nothing, get on your knees, not to ask for the pain to stop, not to negotiate your way out of the difficulty, but to align yourself with the source of strength that exists beyond your own. Say, I do not have enough left in me alone. Strengthen what is weak in me. Give me one more day, one more attempt, one more reason to keep going when the reasons I can see from here have run out. That prayer, said honestly from the floor of your hardest season, returns something to you that rest cannot, that food cannot, that encouragement cannot. It returns the deep knowledge that you are not doing this alone. And the man who knows he is not alone in his suffering carries it differently. With more patience, more endurance, more willingness to stay in it for as long as it takes. There is a version of your story where you kept going, where you stayed when it was hardest, where you got back up after the fall that most people would have accepted as the end, where you refused, quietly, stubbornly, without applause, to let the pain define the outcome. In that version of the story, the breakthrough comes, not because you were the most talented or the most resourced or the most fortunate, but because you were the last one standing. Because everyone else who wanted what you wanted eventually made their peace with not having it, and you never did. Victory belongs to the most persevering. Perseverance is not glamorous. It is not the highlight. It is the quiet, grinding, unglamorous decision made in the dark, in the moment nobody is watching, to try one more time, and then one more time after that, and one more time after that, until the day comes. And it always comes for the man who will not stop, when the trying becomes the having, when the perseverance becomes the result, when the pain that was temporary has passed, and what remains is the life that was built by the man who refused to let it win. So when the pain comes, and it will come, do not ask when it will end. Ask what it is building. When the failure arrives, and it will arrive, do not ask what it means about you. Ask what it is teaching you. When you are down to the last of everything you have, the last of your energy, the last of your confidence, the last of your patience with the process, do not quit, not now. Not when you are this close to the version of yourself that the difficulty has been constructing all along. Pain is temporary. Quitting lasts forever. Choose accordingly.